thing.
Sure. Brendan.
Call the meeting to order.
Oh, okay, wow, good for him.
So I guess.
Thank you for his
From what we can figure as vice chair, I can call one.
You are handling.
Meeting.
His reference is.
Do you have the wording on this? I'll.
Did you get any choice in it?
Okay.
Or-
Nobody else.
Nobody else is doing it.
But then-
We have,
Nobody's like, she wants, you don't know what you are. Yeah.
we have two people, remote, just call the meeting to order. And. Oh, yeah, it's the Conservation Commission, special meeting tonight. Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. Our first order of business is the roll call.
Okay. Tom Heisler. Present. Guy Hoffman,
Present.
Carl Lewis,
Present.
Aaron Pagliaro, present. Mary Catherine LaRose. Present online. If you're talking, we can't hear you, Mary Catherine. Can you hear us? Hey, Jim, confirm you can hear us.
I
Okay,
can.
okay. So Mary Catherine's online. And if you're having trouble with Mary Catherine, I'll chat or tell me otherwise. Robert Ramsey,
Here.
Jason Pelletier, alternate, not here at this time, and alternate Brandon Peak. Big quorum, and you can see Brandon.
And see, right. See Brandon. And, move on to item number 2. Which is, why this is election of officers. So open up the floor for nominations for chairman.
I nominate Brad Hoffman, chairman, in view of his excellent work as vice chairman, the Conservation Commission, and other work that's been applied to the Conservation Commission, for example, land conservation and development.
Any other nomination? Hearing-
Seconded? Yeah.
Karen, second. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh. Passes.
Congratulations.
Thanks, I think.
That leaves your seat as vice chair,
Been the
Megan.
understudy for over 20 years, I think, right?
Yeah, something like
Because
that.
I've been-
Wow. How long have you been?
It's Mike told me he's resigned.
Yeah.
20 this
All
year.
right,
Yeah.
and then let's see how this goes. Nominations for vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Tom Heisler, vice chair.
I second.
He has to accept that nomination.
Oh, yay, all right.
All right. Any other nomination? Not hearing any, all in favor? Aye. Vote. Thank you, Tom.
For opposed.
I was going to oppose it. Can I oppose it as it? You know.
Thank you, Tom.
Yes, thank you. I know that, yes, you said Michael's gonna try to make a meeting at some point. But, need to recognize, I know I ran across something. Clearing out all kinds of stuff out of my study. That, I had the minutes from, November 1997. Conservation Commission meeting where I was seated for the first time.
Wow.
And Michael was already, no, he was vice or just a regular member of that thing, and then he moved up right after that. Dick Schmidt was the chair of that out there, so Michael was already on there, 1997, so he's got about 3 decades.
I
worth of time.
found 1995. I can't look it up because I've got the meeting going, but I think that's what I found previously, at least 1995,
So.
that I found it.
Yeah, so everybody on the commission, has only known the Conservation Commission with Michael as a member, and I think everybody but me only knows it, with him being chair.
Never seen it.
So. Quite a record of service for the town. So, we've been void though. All of us will have to try to chip in a little bit to help Tom and me out here. So, all right. Item number 3 is adoption of the 2025 meeting dates for our calendar.
Or I think they are all the second Tuesday of the month, except for the November meeting, which was moved to Veterans Day to the 18th. Again, you set the meeting dates as you go further into the year. If you find you have to move one, those can be, moved by vote during the during a meeting during the year and or canceled as you're aware.
Move we adopt the proposed.
Second.
Any comments? Everyone in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good. I actually looked at him, I think I'm here.
You better be.
Which was kind
More
of
vacations
surprising.
for you.
Exactly.
All right, and then we go. I guess we go way back, right? As far as the approval of minutes.
November 12th,
Yes.
2024.
Meeting from November.
So as far as members here, Carl, Mary Catherine, Rob, and Brandon, correct? Oh, no, I'm sorry, we're not at the,
Right.
Tom, Guy, and Karen
Karen.
were here. Tom, Guy, and Karen. So
Motion to accept.
motion to accept. It says to-
Favor? Aye. All right.
No, I was in Savannah.
Okay. What's the meeting?
And then we move on to item 6, commission business. We have trail and trail information updates. I believe that's you, Jim, right, for an update on this?
Sure. So I'll just go through all the updates I have and maybe not in the exact order, but stop me if you have any questions. But just starting with the OSWA grant application, we did submit the application for the Fontanella property that would be contiguous to Blue Hills. So we'll hope for the best on that. Our Pistol Creek Lamentation Mountain Recreational Trails grant. Obviously, we had gotten that award. Middletown's the recipient. We did enter into an interlocal agreement with Middletown, so that's set. Next step is really probably for Middletown to issue a request for proposals for consultants to help us, do the designs and put together the bid packages. I've sent them like a sample RFP and balls in Mark's court on that one for now. Then taking a little bit out of order, but this Highlands Grant program designation, we had conversations with Trust for Public Land that's been very active in the state helping conserve properties. And one of the suggestions that they made is that there's this Highlands Grant program, which is a federal grant program that would assist in acquiring open space and recreational land and farmland and such. And they gave an example of a project in Simsbury, which was a $6 million farmland acquisition of like 260 acres, where they got a $1.8 million grant from the Highlands program. So the problem with us in the Highlands program is we're not in the eligible area. And so we'd like to request that we be put in the eligible area. And the closest town right now is Farmington. So we need to be contiguous. So we're also started a dialogue with New Britain. So hopefully if they would be interested, we will, we have a council agenda item for next week that tasked the council to endorse the mayor to request the designation. And the interesting thing about this program is, at least, as the discussion with the Trust for Public Land, they've kind of used it in combination with other programs like OSWA. So a lot of our, I guess, constraint for open space acquisition has been coming up with the local match. So if we can get 2 grants in some future scenario, if we have a larger property, if we can get a second grant to bring down the local share, significantly, that might help us to, consider acquiring larger pieces, which we obviously we haven't gotten a high priority in terms of town bonding for any acquisitions lately, but so it's a really good resource. And and that's going on next week. And I know I've talked to the land trust about it, and I know they'll come to the meeting and support this, this designation. Now, obviously, we've had some, we've done some work on the Lamentation Mountain area with the fire situation. Connecticut Deep, is doing assessments for property owners. They've done one for the land trust, did a very nice report. We've now requested that they do that for the town properties. I think there were 3 properties, about 40-something acres. As we look at the fire map, a lot of the largest part of the fire is actually in Meriden, and then Berlin, and really not much at all in Middletown. But Middletown was affected because a lot of the fire roads that were constructed to fight the fire are actually in Middletown. So we put together a stakeholder meeting with the towns and CFPA and Berlin Land Trust, Middlesex Land Trust, Deep, FEMA, all these people a couple of weeks ago to start getting, we had some ideas. We talked to the council. They said, yeah, go ahead, try to put some ideas together about the future of Lamentation Mountain and restoration and improvements and such. So we had the stakeholder meeting. It was a first step. We're working on setting up a follow-up meeting with FEMA about funding, and we're going to set up a follow-up, stakeholder meeting focusing on getting the 3 towns working. At this point, we're kind of engaged with Middletown, only marginally getting participation from Meriden. So we got to figure out whether they're in or not. And, and then we would expect to probably submit at least one recreational trails grant application and the round that we're expecting to come up this spring for kind of a master plan for Lamentation Mountain. And we had brainstormed, I don't know if Maureen shared any of that, but we, trail improvements. There's, obviously it sounds like the fire damage actually to the trees is minimal. We're really not going to lose a lot of trees, but the understory, it creates the opportunity for, invasives, which we got to deal with. We have, we've opened up those fire roads, so we have, issues with now increasing perhaps ATV traffic there. The fire roads, there's also
Not perhaps. It's
perhaps,
not
okay.
perhaps, not
Okay.
It's-
I'm
it's
treading lightly,
happening in
Carl.
real time, yeah.
Yes. And then, things like the memorial to the firefighter, further trail improvements, drainage improvements, in the trails and the fire roads, wetlands restoration, so there's a list of things that we kind of put on the table. And, we're pursuing it. So we're working on that. And, certainly if the Conservation Commission has a person that is interested in being your representative, we'll put you on the list and invite you to the meetings. If not, then we'll keep you up to date on what's happening. So I got some more things, but I can pause. I don't wanna, you might forget your questions if I keep on
Yeah.
going,
So Jim, I have one question for you. The Highlands Program Designation request
Yes.
to, you want a motion to support that request from Conservation Commission?
Sure. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be
Something that-
controversial, but yeah, it's appropriate.
All right, I'll make that motion, support the Highlands program that we request.
Any other comments?
It's a tremendous opportunity.
I think so. All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. You.
For the town council.
Yeah.
Be able to answer that question as to
Yeah.
how the commission. feels about it.
And I'd be willing to, I was gonna nominate, so I'd be willing to, to sit in those meetings if I can.
For Lamentation
For
Mountain.
Lamentation. Okay. Thank you, Carl.
Because I've walked it since the fire, I was up there in the fire and walked in the fire and it's not as actually. as Jim said, I was expecting a lot more, damage to the trees. There's damage, but certainly as I thought.
So the large trees make it.
A lot of them, if you, and as Jim said, Meriden had the brunt of it, Berlin second. But a lot of large trees made it. Oh, good, yeah, oh, yeah.
So, Jim, Carl will be the rep for that.
Sounds good. I might have invited you anyway, Carl, but if I didn't, I'll hit it next time.
Okay, no, I think you may have, yeah.
Town staff will be there, yeah, top of Jim, but you know, myself or the assistant planner or Jim to those meetings as well.
Yeah, Alexa helped, she set up the Zoom and participated in the first stakeholders meeting as Maureen was away. So shall I continue?
Yes.
Okay, so Blue Hills Conservation Area, we know that, the Metacomet Trail was relocated there to get it out of the front yards. And so we had to redo the map. So we got New England Geo to redo the map, so that's done. And when we applied for the OSWA grant, there was a question about, where's your trails information? They were recommending, this CT Trails program that's run out of Yukon. They have a website for trails information. So we had said, okay, we'll do it. And so we're in the process of doing that, getting the trails up on the CT Trails website. And if anybody's interested.
Oh, you cut out, Jim.
Froze.
Uh-oh.
Can't see.
Involved in that updated.
Jim, I don't know if you can hear us, but you're frozen.
Right.
You're back.
You're back.
This is Sandy job.
Unstable sign, but sorry about that. Hopefully it won't happen again. So we're updating that. I don't know what you heard last, but we're, updating all the trail descriptions. The CT Trails has like a questionnaire that you're supposed to fill out. We had to get them GIS files, which we've done. And I did talk to Heidi Brierly. She's going to help out with Bicentennial and Hatchery Brook. But if anybody is interested in, helping update some of those trail descriptions, then, just let me know and I'll send you the information and work with you on that. We're just trying to, it's not like something we have to do tomorrow, but we want to cut through it. And, it also kind of translates to updating our trail descriptions on our website and on, which are now posted on Parks and Rec, which, of course, we sent the new map over to Parks and Rec. And I think we sent a new description there too, but we'll have to update all that. And, in exploring this, we found that, New England Geo is on a limited contract with the town now, and they host the town's GIS website, which was really where we featured the open space. And we had our open space story maps and such. And, I thought it was great. And now with the I don't know, they updated something, but none of that information's there anymore. So we're trying to get it restored. And I didn't look before the meeting today, but I looked last week and it wasn't restored. So Maureen, myself, Mike and such will continue to follow up with New England Geo, because it's not the only thing that wasn't carried over. There are a bunch of other things that, like economic development maps, and we had the historical aerials and other things that didn't survive whatever the move was. So we're trying to restore all that data, and that's important because
They have restored some things.
Okay.
okay,
Neither one of us
Yeah.
evidently has checked the trail maps, but some things have gotten restored, so it's
How long ago was that move?
in the
I don't
couple
know.
months, right? Just a
Months,
couple
months.
months, I think.
Yeah.
Months, okay.
They
'Cause I thought-
maybe this is why, maybe it's not why they stopped. Supporting ArcMap, is that why you think, cause it was
I
the
think so.
original. What everyone used to learn GIS on, and now they're pushing it all to ArcGIS Pro. So that seems to have a host of challenges. This is Esri is the big GIS company that does that software, so that kind of all changed over, that's that one up.
Yeah, it's
wasn't
not
that long
local,
ago that
it's
I-
not a
Yeah,
local
it's a
problem,
national
it's,
issue.
it's, they had this throughout.
Didn't seem like it was that
the people
long
they
ago
were
that
serving.
I was. Stuff. And it was.
It was there.
Yeah,
Like,
Well, there's a bunch of stuff up that they have lost.
they have.
The 26, the 26 aerial photographs, which are priceless, are gone.
Gone, okay.
I'm sure they're somewhere, but they're not up. And is Jim still on?
Yeah.
I am.
Yes.
Jim, I just wanna say, you know, I'm having a family issue, but I certainly did mean to get back to you and say that I can help with the trail descriptions. On
Okay.
any of the above, I'm on those trails twice a week, so I'm happy
Yes.
to help you out, I just need a little guidance and some time.
Okay,
Alright.
I'll reach out to you on that.
Okay, yeah, and I know you did, and. You know,
We'll work away at it. You know, they're doing Beckley Quarry first, which is kind of simple. So
Yeah.
hopefully we're gonna cut through that and then just work on the rest.
What's the aerial imagery was it like flyover imagery or satellite or?
it was aerials from 1926, aerial from China.
Okay.
It's pretty incredible stuff. Oh, is it up now? No.
I
Yeah.
can take a rest of it.
There's the,
Yeah, so I just pulled up the trail maps. It looks like on the story maps, it looks like they're back on.
Oh, good. I'll look at it tomorrow. They weren't there last week. So or at least early last week when I was
So
trying to do
this
it.
is, I'm on this page. with
Yes,
the,
good, good.
Looks like they're there, so. So that's good,
That's good.
yeah.
Well, that's gonna
Again,
make
some
it,
of them probably do need to be updated because they haven't been in a while, but.
right. But that's gonna make it easier to just, you know, grab that information and send it over to CT Trails too. And I remember, I can't read the screen, but we did a set of maps in the past with degree of difficulty on trails, which is something that the CT Trails people want. So I just have to kind of go back into the archives and find that information. And if not, we can, you know, easily, you know, update it, but we did it. So no sense in reinventing the wheel if we don't have to. And then I've already and Carl in his spare time, I also had recruited him as a volunteer. We had some conversations with Connecticut Forest and Park Association about recreational trails grants applications for this year. And what we're talking about was the trail connections between Timberland and Bicentennial, or not Bicentennial, Ragged Mountain. So we got that parcel, we bought the parcel on Reservoir Road to connect out to Reservoir Road from Timberland. We got the Wigwam Road right away relocated so that we can, as with Carl's help and working on the route and meeting with the water department and all those things, we finally cut through all that. Got the right of way relocated to a trail location that will connect into Ragged. And now that we've done all this, you know, we want to build the trail before, you know, people forget about it, or the neighbor next door on Reservoir Road doesn't want a trail anymore or something like that. So I guess Carl, you're gonna coordinate with the guy from CFBA and walk
Yeah,
it.
that's another
and-
one that came through within the last couple of weeks that I remember getting and didn't do anything with. But yeah, I guess Alex wants to walk that section between Short Mountain and Reservoir Road. And that I walked that prior to us getting that easement or picking up a
Yeah.
parcel, right? So
Right.
it's not the easiest, you know, on both of those connections with the Blue Trail or the trails, right? So coming off Short Mountain is not gonna be a particularly easy thing to do. It's gonna have to switch back down some down a hill. And going up to Ragged Mountain from quote unquote Old Wigwam Road or Sanctuary Lane or whatever is also gonna be a switchback. So those are gonna be kind of steep, but CFPA does that stuff all the time now, so I'm not anticipating it being a problem. I'm just saying, you know, it's not, if we had a place, if we had a choice of places to put the trail, it probably wouldn't have been there, but that's the only place we could put it, that works, so. It works, but it's
Yeah.
there's gonna be some switchbacks involved, you know.
Right, well, it'll be interesting. Again, I think one of the benefits of this is that, you know, there is private property on Short Mountain that the trail of the Metacomet goes through now. And if for some reason that ever gets shut down, this can be another route for the trail, the Metacomet Trail as well. And, you know, we kind of got it on protected property now, but also if we accomplish this, you know, you could have a very interesting loop hike from Timberland to Ragged and back, and that
The
would be
level of
strenuous.
difficulty, the level of difficulty on that would be challenging, let's put it that
Yes.
way.
Yes. I remember going down the north side of Short Mountain this time of year one time, and it was pure ice. So I wouldn't recommend it. Wait till spring.
For those of us that don't know the names, where's the Short Mountain
It's
section?
next to Timberland. It's, you know, between
This way.
yeah, kind of on the southern side.
Okay.
Kind of like
that's
behind the
Short Mountain.
pavilion at the end of the road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so where the newer the parcel we acquired is down into Timberland.
I'll
That's all right,
Yeah.
okay, I know.
Yeah.
It's the main geography now.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's just
And
kind
if
of
you need
like,
town staff with you, you can let somebody,
Thank
either me or
Thank you very much.
one of the team would be glad to go, including, and I'm sure Steve. When he has time, it's more than willing to.
yeah, we've got, you know, in addition to the rugged part that Carl mentioned, we've got wetlands crossings to get from Timberland to Reservoir. So there's gonna have to be some bog bridges and things. And the good thing was, you know, I had a conversation with CFPA and, you know, I think they would be willing to take the lead on this and apply for the grant. And we'll be the support, which will be good from a lot of angles, I think. And they're used to doing this kind of work. And, you know, it's kind of the cost estimating for this type of work is hard for us. And they're, you know, they're doing it more frequently. So, and they have a strong record with, you know, with recreational trails grants and deep and all that stuff. So I'm hoping it'll be a good partnership. And so the only other thing I had was that, and Maureen, I think, has the map if you can bring it up, but we've been kind of monitoring this whole issue of connection between the Airline Trail in Portland and the Farmington Valley Greenway in Cheshire. And there's a planning exercise that's been going on. And now they finally have a plan and a map that shows a potential trail that would connect the two. And the interesting thing for us, I guess, is it comes, you know, very close to Pistol Creek. And so, you know, it's opportunities to kind of cross over from trails to bikeways and all that stuff. So that's kind of interesting. I did talk to, this is all, you know, this is a large project, multi-year, if they can get momentum on it, but at least they have a you know, a plan now. And certainly, you know, from Mark's perspective, you know, probably the last piece that would be done would be kind of west of Atkins Street, west of, you know, Pistol Creek, that section. And that is very, very steep also. So I think, I don't know, if you can see it on the map, I think there's a bunch of switchbacks in there. It just reflects how steep that would be. And it wouldn't be like, riding your bike through Farmington and Avon, I can tell you that. But it would be interesting, and I think good for us. So we just keep our eye on it. And, you know, that also relates to kind of our planning with Middletown and maybe Meriden if they're on board for Lamentation Mountain area. So that's about all I got.
I think the only other thing I'll add to that is we also talked about with the CFPA upgrades and, you know, the trails, et cetera, there may be some signage that will be ordered to support those areas wherever we need them. So,
Yeah, actually, I forgot. So they want to do a new trail sign at Ragged. So, you know, they have a design, we have a design. I've asked them to take the lead and come up, you know, suggest something. We could have two signs out there too, but, you know, I think it's time to upgrade at Ragged. It's certainly a very popular area, and our signage is, I think, a little bit in need of help out there.
Yeah, whatever they put up there is gonna have to, I'm sure they've got best practice on this, but. You know, the afternoon that they put it up, it's gonna get assaulted, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it has to be, well, I'm sure that they know what they're doing in that respect. But it'll get it'll get trashed. Sorry to be so pessimistic.
Yeah, I'm sure they consider it, but we'll emphasize it. And that's another thing on Lamentation signage is something that's on the radar for, you know, this master plan, certainly. Not only for the trails, et cetera, but also to recognize that fallen firefighter. Which I guess the location where he actually died is in Meriden, and it's on the Carabetta property, but the city of Meriden representative was going to reach out to them. I don't know if that's the most appropriate place to do the memorial or do it someplace more on the public side. And of course, you know, I think the commission's aware and has, you know, talked about this encroachment of the Carabettas on Lamentation Mountain State Park. And another irony of this is that, as I said, most of the fire was in Meriden, but the largest property owner of the fire, you know, of the fire area was the Carabettas. They have several properties. They have LLCs with several properties along the, you know, west side of the ridge. And so there's where the most affected in terms of fire.
Well, that was a lot.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, that was
Hey.
good.
See what,
Making a lot of progress.
I think so. See what happens when you don't have a meeting for a couple months?
Yeah. Well. Very good.
All right, good to see you all.
Look forward to seeing the
Thank you.
2025
Take
projects
care, Jen.
move along.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hopefully, we'll be in touch. Have a good
All
night.
right.
Bye-bye.
Right, Jim.
One remaining item on the mission business section. Here's the Hatchery Brook Garden update, the application.
So, the garden has been previously reported, it has been running. Knock on wood, I think some good solid wood, please, very well. Garden coordinator has, really, created a routine, I think, out there, which has resulted in significantly less calls to town hall and concerns among the gardeners as well as others in the area, or the gardeners because of activity in the area. It's all running very smoothly, fencing is working great, the improvements that were made down there are working well. The well, as you know, the solar well has been pretty reliable. The commission allowed for the maintenance of that as a regular item in the budget, so that's been really good too. Needs to replace batteries or what have you. So we have posted or rather sent out to existing gardeners, previous last year's gardeners, as well as those that missed the opportunity last year by missing the deadline. I believe Ashley also sent the application to those people. For a March first deadline to get their applications in, and then those received on or after March first will be handled with vacant plots in the order in which they're received. And we've been telling, I believe she's also been telling people that includes a second plot. If they haven't had a second plot before, those are getting, will get assigned. But have more opportunity for more people first, and then the existing gardeners can have a second plot. April 1st to November 3rd will be the window. The November 3rd may change. I don't know that Woody has his, or Grounds has their contract yet for when the exact close date will be, but it'll be that week. That's what we posted it as, is the 3rd. We tend to be flexible depending on when the porta potties are scheduled to be picked up and the weather. That's there was 1 year, I think, let people keep gardening for a few weeks after the deadline, just because it stayed so nice out. They were still getting crops. So that's Ashley Burke garden update. We
That's great. I mean, back, it used to take up a huge amount of the commission's time.
So I got something from Comcast. This email has not been used in years, so we're going to delete it. It was community, because I had a special email just for community gardens.
So there is an email that's on the sign out there.
Okay, but this was my own thing.
And that's the Berlin's, at berlin.gov.
Yeah.
And it's linked so that if somebody does email that, it goes to the garden coordinator, I believe, as well as my staff. So that somebody can answer. It's kind of a name, but the emails go directly to individuals. I don't know that I've gotten an email from that in a while either, but it's on the sign that's out there, so. We're keeping that going. I think I announced last year that a new sign had been painted. And those little upgrades that I was gonna say, she tries to have, as was designed, if you read the rules and the purpose, work parties where the gardeners get together to maintain the area around it, and paths and whatnot, and so that's taken a little bit of burden from our grounds crew as well. So the intent was not that the grounds crew had much burden. That's it.
On to the applications.
So there are no new applications that pertain to conservation mission.
Good. All right. Moving along, I will not take too long on the CD implementation plan. I ended up having screwed up on my
all
things, and I did miss the last meeting. I'm just take 2 minutes and say, the priorities, the way I look at them for the commission or the DOCD are still, protection and acquisition of open space. Item to that, relative to that, inventory, linkages, greenways, connections. So, it's stuff that we talked about with Jim. And help to expand the number of open space parcels in town. One of the things I think that maybe we can play a little bit more of a role is it would be conservation easements or looking for properties that have them, should have them. Just like everything on our priority list, it really does depend on the help of the town staff. And that's one of the items on the P O C, about adequate staffing, includes town staff member, point person for open space and environmental issues. So if we can get that with mapping or lists of things, I think that's something that we might be able to kind of just do a bit of on, you know, not spending a huge amount of time at every meeting on it, but just kind of working our way through with, and giving the town some ideas about places that would make sense. Kind of like what we used to do with properties and looking at them for acquisition. The way that things are working now, they don't really come to us upfront. Usually, they want to have some kind of deal in place and then get some feedback on their intent setup. So doing something with the conservation easements could be something that's done ahead of time to help guide the town with that.
Are you more looking at tracking existing conservation easements that have been lost in the wind, or finding opportunities for new conservation?
I think a little bit of both, but we don't have anything on either, so I don't know.
So we've been working
Yeah.
on
And I
some
know the-
stuff for mapping conservation areas that were dedicated. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
those, the dedicated lands, and making sure that those are on a separate map labeled. It's partially done, we have just a few iterations of it, but it's not been vetted enough or proved enough to make public, you know, but you've seen it a couple of times. The easements, they came with subdivisions and whatnot, are a little bit easier to quantify and find so that we can map them, but they have never been mapped as a whole. And that is a project.
Yeah.
But we're trying to identify them. We're actually kind of recreating a base of subdivision maps, because the original subdivision map that had evidently there was at one time a map of the whole town that said what subdivisions they were, and then you could go to the land records and find them amongst the thousands of maps in the land records. Instead, we have to find them now. Where are they? Between all those other maps, somebody has to actually look it up. So we're trying to coordinate those two, because all those maps are scanned now. They are somewhat more digitally available, so it is something, and we have a full staff. We have a full staff.
So-
Yeah, so
Of course, it is kind of an intern type project. It's actually one of the projects I did as an intern in the 80s, you know, was the open space map. That's what I drew. So we still drew maps then.
So I-
There was no digital.
So I think it'd be both, you know, it's like, you gotta have something to start with. And then do that, but I think that's something that is a high priority on the DOCD, and something that we could help out with in the future. One of the other ones is about expand and improve town trail systems. And the items there are, Jim's stuff was perfect. It's working with CFDA on regional trails and up-to-date information maps on the town's website. So it's that kind of stuff that I think we should have input in, you know, and obviously that's part of what we talked about tonight. And the last one is provide site improvements to open space properties to ensure proper stewardship on these properties, improve access to the public. And that's still one of the ones that I think is a little bit of my pet peeve, is sometimes we just can't get approval for adequate parking. You know, it's some of our sites, so, yeah.
Okay, can I just comment on that?
Yeah.
If that's indeed gonna be our goal, I mean, it's fine to have that as our goal
Yeah.
here at 6:30 on
Yeah.
the second Tuesday, but when push comes to shove,
Right.
Including very recently, we've had long-standing trail access
Right.
go away for the for basically trumped up reasons. I hate to put it that way, but we had, for example, is, oh, you'd be surprised. Listen, I'll remind you of a certain evening. Listen, we had a parking area on Spruce Brook Road that had existed since the 1950s. For the Mattabassa Trail and now the net. Now, we can talk all we want about improving parking and access, but when push comes to shove, that went away for almost no reason whatsoever. It went away because of a squeaky wheel. And that's all I have to say about it. So I'm willing to sit for hours in meetings and talk about improved access, but when push comes to shove, it didn't happen. And it wasn't a get together of minds. It wasn't, we were all gonna vet ideas and sit around the table. It was, we have a plan of conservation and development and we didn't follow it in that situation.
But it wasn't because it wasn't.
I guess look at it too, is that it shows that that's where we still need to, be aware and see what we can do to try to not have that kind of stuff happen. And after that happened, we still had passed a motion about trying to improve parking and access for that same spot. If nothing else, to let them know that we weren't happy with the way that went.
Was that all rezoned, so it's no longer an access point? I know you can't physically get there anymore.
The council decided to block the parking, can still go through
Through
there.
there.
It
Okay,
is
still.
an
So
access,
foot-
it
foot-
still belongs to the town,
Okay.
it's.
And I guess their answer would be to park at.
Pistol Creek and half.
Pistol Creek.
Right.
Yeah, right. And so,
Or on the road.
and one of the
in the
comments was,
neighborhood.
these people like to walk, why can't they? Yeah, that was one of the comments. Why can't they walk Pistol Creek? And the same people that were telling us that it was too dangerous to walk along Spruce Brook. Let's walk along Spruce Brook.
Right.
But, I mean, we're stewards of that. This town should be proud of the fact that we have portions of the Mattabassa Trail. One of the longest road walks, by the way, in the whole system, net system. So we should be proud and be taking, and take pride in that. We should be active stewards of that and not be swaying to each gust or wisp of wind. Excellent.
I look at this as things that are in the environmental resource goals, strategy 2, 8, 9. And highlighting certain ones of those. Strategy 4, which is the adequate staffing and everything to support that. And I think our priorities still end up being some things that aren't really listed in the POC, but to remind the group that, we still have the oversight of the community garden important to us, and the review and comment on the planning and zoning applications. It's a worthwhile effort to. The group only meets quarterly, so relay things the next time I can.
So at the January meeting, one of the things that did come up for, all of the liaisons to think about and bring back to their commission. And Guy has really, I think, been one of the driving forces of keeping it at the forefront, is that several commissions have pretty big charges in the P O C D. There's a lot of priorities, a lot of high priorities. As opposed to, oh, yeah, that's another low priority for that commission, or low, several have a number of priorities that are high priority or almost, just below high. And so each commission looking at their priorities that are listed in the P O C D and working through them to prioritize the priorities, and decide what amongst that commission is the goal that is both attainable, something to be working on as adjust them a bit, because you can't do all the high priorities at the same time. But, during the writing of the plan of conservation and development, certainly the cultural resources, which includes that section, which includes conservation areas, was a priority amongst the public that came out, amongst all the stakeholders that participated in the writing of the plan of conservation and development, et cetera. That's why so many items are. So it's defined as an important commission, an important charge you all have. And we certainly as staff appreciate the support that the Conservation Commission gives these things. Trails, the open space. The looking at plans.
I have it somewhere, but I don't know what it is. I think it's in the 30s or something, that number of things that were listed as having a significant role.
As the lead commission
Yeah.
or
So
a commission.
It's not a
with,
short list.
Yeah. It's not a short list, but it is a 10-year plan.
Yeah.
So it's not that everything has to be done all at once, but when the opportunity arises, if it's a higher priority and there's a grant available, that is something that also helps the town by having a goal that is saying this is important to this town in our P O C D. We use that in the grant writing as well, and the priorities all around. And sometimes that's a reminder that we appear before other boards and commissions.
On to commissioner comments, communication. Have any communication? Mary Catherine?
First of all, can you actually hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Very well.
Hey, because, well, I just want to say hello, everyone, and I'm so glad to see everyone so healthy and around the table. I tried to use my husband's dinosaur computer, and it turns out I guess it doesn't have a speaker. So I was hearing you could. So then I went and got on my phone. But anyway, in case, I don't know how you recorded it, but because you couldn't hear me before, I just wanted to make sure that in the minutes, you would have that I was in favor of the election of the officers. And thank you, Guy, and thank you, Tom, for offering. And also for the adoption of the calendar. I was also in favor of that. And I think those are the only votes we took. So.
Yeah, we had the motion to,
Support the
yeah,
Highlands.
yeah.
Motion to support, say, what was it again?
Highlands program designation.
Oh, yes, and I was in favor of that as well. So I just want to, because I want your
Yes.
minutes to reflect it.
Very good. Thank you.
So anyway, and so hello, everybody. And it was really hard to sit here and not know if I could even be heard but I didn't have anything to say before. So anyway, hi, everybody. Thanks.
Thanks. Anything else? I need to talk to you briefly. We can do it after.
Okay.
I got an email about our budget.
Okay.
So, it's due at the end of the month, and that's something new to me, so.
We usually handle it by.
Yeah, that's okay.
Got it.
Okay,
Okay,
so.
Motion to adjourn.
I'm gonna second you.
Yeah,
Beat me to the gun,
That
boy.
was fast.
7:28.
7:28, under an hour.
Not bad, not bad.
All right.
Let's keep that up.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Hi.
Actually.